Now, water is one of those weird substances that we don't really understand. I mean, we're surrounded by it, but we don't understand on the level of that. And we have a basic understanding of it, but it's the only liquid that in solid form floats on the top. And they'll say, there's reasons why air pockets and stuff in the ice, but it's still puzzling. It's still interesting because every other form, if you have molten lead and you drop if you drop a solid piece of lead in it, just sinks to the bottom. Every other form of liquid, if you freeze it or you make it a solid, it sinks, but water, it doesn't, surface tension, blah, blah, blah. But it is something that's puzzling. It's something that we're surrounded by all the time. Now, one Japanese doctor, Dr. Masaru Emoto. Some of you people are probably like, oh, great, he's going on to this, because he's fairly famous in this field. He might be really the only one who's doing this in his field, but Dr. Emoto has a theory that he feels that he's proven, is that water is sentient. Water is intelligent, it's alive, and we can communicate with it. Now, 70% of the world is water, and 75% of our bodies are water. That's not actually true. I found out that men have more water in them than women, or vice versa, one of the two. Anyways, I probably should have looked that up. Anyways, men and women have different volumes of water in them. That being said, Dr. Emoto's theory is that you can take water and you can communicate with it, and if you say beautiful things to it, it will form beautiful ice crystals. So if I have a glass of water and I say, Vanessa, I love you, and I saw you in Hood River at Rosars at 7 p.m., you're beautiful. If I froze that water right when the ice crystals, it's this weird timing he has, so the ice crystals form and then he lets them melt, and right when they hit 0 degrees, I don't know, Celsius or something, yeah, I guess it'd be 0 degrees Celsius, he's from Japan, right when the very second they start to melt, he takes a picture of them, and it'll be this most beautiful ice crystal in the world. Now, let's say I have water, and I go, oh, my swollen gums. You are the representation of my swollen gums. I just want to rub garlic all over this glass. And then do the same thing, freeze it, and then right when it starts to melt, it'll be this ugly, won't be crystallized, it'll just be like this ugly dollop. And you can do it by saying nice stuff to it. You can do it by saying mean stuff to it. If you play beautiful classical music, the crystals are just intricately formed. If you play heavy metal, it's just like chaotic. It's not from the vibrations necessarily, because you've played the music and then you froze it. And so he's done all these experiments. Thousands, tens of thousands of experiments. Oh, he's dead. I didn't know that. Anyways, I'm just looking at this. He does tens of thousands of experiments on this, and he says, water is sentient. How we react to water reacts to us. And the reason why this is important, because not only are we surrounded by water, but we're mostly made up of water. So the way that we think about our own bodies and the way we talk to other people influences the way that their water molecules are forming. So that's an interesting theory. I remember hearing about that the first time when I saw that old documentary, Down the Rabbit Hole. It was the follow-up documentary to What the Bleep Do We Know? The only reason I watched it because I have a crush on Marlee Matlin, and she was the star of that. And Armin Shimmerman was in that too, and he was Quark on Deep Space Nine. But anyways, in that they had this theory about water being sentient, and the way that you talk to water determines the water molecules. So we see it in that brief moment when it's melting. But if I every day have a glass of water and I talk about how beautiful it is, and I drink it, I'm basically communicating with the water. So again, that's an interesting theory. Now, I think it's interesting. I think, going back to the whole water being fascinating thing, I think water is fascinating. I go on and on about the depths of the ocean, but one of the things that I've observed is humans' relationship with water. Now, as far as we know, liquid water is the most rare element in the galaxy. We have not been able to really detect liquid water definitely in our solar system. We've done those big telescopes and go, oh, maybe that planet has some water, maybe that. But liquid water is so rare. And we pee in it. we poop in it. We fill holes in our backyard with it. We spray it on ourselves when we get wet. Well, obviously we get wet. We spray it on ourselves when we get hot. We put it in little bubbles, little rubber balloons, and throw them at each other. It's more, when we look at the galactic scale, it is more rare than the most precious metals on this planet, and we just treat it like it's completely replenishable, it's completely disposable, it's rainy, and it's just everywhere. Now, I know there's countries that have water problems, but I think you get where I'm going with it, is that, that's the most rare. We talk about gold, we talk about diamonds, which, aren't really that rare, but we talk about rare earth metals that we pull out of Africa for cell phones and stuff like that. But water, when we look at a galactic scale, water is the most rare thing in the galaxy, and we treat it as an afterthought. We mix colored powder into it and drink it as Kool-Aid. And it's amazing. It's amazing when we look at it that way. So to think that we're on a planet with all this water, and not only is it here to help us, but it's actually sentient and we can communicate with it in some way, I think is amazing on some level. I think the idea of water being sentient is amazing, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And it is the height of pseudoscience. And like I said, I watched that documentary and then I was like, I'm going to write his name down. And I went and did some research on it. Now, I'm fairly skeptical on a lot of this stuff. And I think I've kind of said in the past, like, if you show me something that proves that it's not true, then I'm more likely to believe it, that it's not true. Now, when I looked into this, basically every skeptical article said, listen, this is the way that it works. You take thousands of photos, you yell at some water, you call water Vanessa, and you say it's the most beautiful water in the world. You take pictures of all these ice crystals. Your premise is that when you talk about it, the ice crystals are more beautiful. So what are you going to do with all the photos you take where they're not beautiful? Well, you dismiss those. I took it at the wrong time. I'm not going to. Assuming his heart was in the right place, he was looking at it and goes, that was taken at the wrong time. That was taken at the right time. That one's beautiful. Put that one up. That one's beautiful. Put that one up. It's too selective. There's no real control. And he did start having a glass of water that he didn't say anything to. And he's like, well, look at these photos. They're just natural crystals. But again, this actual selection of the photographs and the photographs you're presenting as proof to us is the issue. If you said, I took one photo of each, and this was each time, like I took one photo, just one photo of the beautiful glass of water, and it was this crystalline form, it laid more credence to his theory. But people have tried duplicating it, and they haven't been able to, or they've been able to, but they have to take so many photos, and then they just cherry pick the beautiful ones. I love the idea to think that water is sentient on some level. I do believe that, positivity and negativity go out into the world. But again, I could walk around town and be super positive to everyone, and then one person be like, "Thank you, Jason. You gave me hope. That was such a great day." And then tell everyone I exhibit some sort of positive energy. I can cure people. I can cure their bad moods. And you're like, well, yeah, you talked to 1,000 people, and 10 people said that you helped them. And then 50 people are like, and then a bunch of other people just told you to slag off. So it's just selective. It's selective information. And then, of course, as I was doing research for this podcast, I did realize that I didn't know that he has passed away now. But at the time, he was selling, he was selling products, happy water that people talked to and said beautiful things to, and then you could buy it for an excessive amount of money and drink it and feel positive. And that's you're just ripping people off. Just throw out the theory. He has some other theories about rice, and actually, people have tried duplicating that as well. If you're nice to rice, it doesn't spoil, or whatever. It's pseudoscience, it's nonsense. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.